Okay, so welcome to this next part. I think it's part 3. And this is going to be a more advanced tutorial because we're going to be talking about installing third-party libraries. So as you can see over here on the left, I have an SQL database and I also have good old FMOD. And they install in sort of slightly different ways, but very, very similar. The first thing we've got to do is we've got to get these jar files into the compiler, into a certain place where it can upload these jar files onto the system in order to be used. So let's crack on with that. I've got myself a nice test 3, which I will display running now. So that's it running on the system. It's nice and fresh and clean and empty. And stop it and run it again. So you see we're not cheating. There we are. And away we go. Okay, so let's get started. So we've got ourselves a nice clean project. I'm going to run that, make sure it's running and it's launching, which it is. You can see up here in the left hand corner. It's launching. We'll run it again, make sure it's not a fluke. Yeah, great. Right, stop that. Get rid of that. Right. Okay. So the first module we're going to install is this SQL one. And I'm going to make it as simple as I can because we need to get these jar files into a certain position into the compiler so that the compiler knows where it is to upload it onto the system. So that the system can then access the jar files and start doing its SQL thing through all its libraries. So how are we going to do this? So we're going to start off with the two files here, which is the C file and the header file, because it's the easiest. We're already in our Java tab. So let's start by installing the two files. And that's simply done by going down to the C++ files, into the classes in there here. Now what we can do is we can select the pair of them. You can drag and drop them, but it removes them from there. I'm going to copy and paste them in like so and say yes. And then not forgetting that we need to go into the C make list here. So we're going to go into this C make list and I'm going to copy that line there, get rid of that, sql.c, add the H file, job done. Going to press the sync and that will sync everything up. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pop out of here, and we're going to go into, from Android, we're going to go to the project file structure. Now in here you can see where it says project.android. So we're going to go into there and then we're going to go and click into this app. Now, where the app is where we're going to need to install this jar file. Now, where we need to install it is we're going to install it in a new folder, which is called lib. So we're literally going to right click on the app and we're going to go down to directory and we're simply going to call it lib. So there it is in the app. And now we're simply going to right click and copy that, go over to our lib file, paste it there. Yeah. Our jar file is installed into the lib directory. Now the reason why that I'm going around this way is we need to go into this build Gradle because we need to add it. So you see how we've got our jar files and libs and all that for the external parts of Cocos that are all built and its libraries and that. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to sort of basically replicate what we're doing here. And the way that we simply do that is we simply click on the jar file. We're going to right click it and we're going to say add to library. And we're going to say yes to that. The proandroid.test, yes. And as you can see, it says implementation and now it's going to open up all this package and that for you. Be patient, don't cancel it or anything. Yeah, now you can see that it's opened up all of this package and that for you as it's implemented the file for us, just like it's done with the lib Cocos2dx there. That's it. That's how we install a jar file, which is going to be uploaded onto the system, and it's going to get all of its library access. So, okay, let's crack on and compile that. It won't do much at the moment, but we'll check that it compiles. It should jump over to the build. Come on, compile. There we are. So it builds, and we've got no problems whatsoever. So now I've got a handy little bit of code here, which we're going to test out, which will now test out, because this is a SQL thing, whether it's right or wrong, we're going to get a result. By default here, we're going to try and open an already SQL DB name. If not, it will create one. If the result returns okay, then we get an OK database successful, else error, can't create the database, meaning we're not running. So let's copy that. We're now going to go not into Android, but we're going to jump into the class files here, and we're going to jump into the Hello World scene. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to include, and it's the SQL3.h. So that's there, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom, and just before that, return true. I'm going to insert that code. As I said, we're going to create a database if it doesn't exist, and then it will give us a message in our logcat here. That same package mine. Let's change that over to Cocos. Yeah, because it's going crazy at the moment. Now it will only output anything that says Cocos. So now let's run that and let's see what it says in our output log. Oops, let's bring up. Yep, it's already up. Right, so that's running, and it's nicked our log, and somewhere along here we are, debug, database open successful. So that means we're now running SQL. So now I could run an SQL statement saying select star from, insert, create table. So you can look that up, what the SQL commands are on that. And that's about it. That's all it is for implementing a jar file and SQL and getting it running. It's as simple as that. So I know I'm not showing a lot of code at the moment and that. I'm just showing you the basics of getting third-party libraries and that installed from third-party vendors. But be assured, we will come back to SQL because it is in a lot of games and that these days. Obviously new games like Fallout 3 and 4, whenever you go and buy stuff from the traders there's a database behind there where you're indexing things, the cost of things, how much money you have. You can do all of these sort of queries and that with SQL. But as I said, we'll come on to that later on. We'll do lots of that and we'll go through that. But you may not even want SQL installed or FMOD installed. So this is really the beginnings here. As I said, we're just trying to show you how you can get these third-party modules installed onto Android Studio so that you can then get them onto the system and start using them. So let's crack on with FMOD, as it's very similar to sort of install, but it can be a bit tricky because we're going to go a slight different route with it because of the way that FMOD needs to be installed. So let's move on now. FMOD, FMOD, FMOD. Okay, so we've seen this a little bit before, except for, as you can see, FMOD has its own FMOD pre-built files, just like Cocos2d and all of that. So these are all the scenarios here. We're using these is .so files. So now we're going to need to put them into the external. But let's go back to the beginning here, because we've seen this before where we have a jar file. Now this jar file needs to go into the same place as the SQL file. So I'm going to do a copy on that, and we're going to come from here, the Android tab. We're going to switch over to our project files, straight into our Android yeah, straight into the app, and you'll see that we've already got a lib file there now. So because I've copied it, I'm now going to paste it. And then once again, we need to put it into here. And we could copy and paste this line, yeah, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to do the old right click on it and add to library. And it just replicates exactly what we've done before with SQL. So that's the similarities there, but that's where the similarities end, because of FMOD has these external files here. So we need to install FMOD, and where we're going to install that is in the external of Cocos2d. And here we are in the project files of Cocos. We have an external, and here you can see Box2D, Bullet, Chipmunk. Are we starting to see the similarities? So now what I'm going to do is copy FMOD, click external, right click and paste. And we're going to put that into external. Going to close that. And now we'll see down here that we've got FMOD. Same as if we had Bullet. Yeah, include pre-built. Are we seeing the similarities? Box2D, include pre-built. It says it should be moving directories. I hope not. What's moving? Why is it moving? Hope it's not moving. I didn't drag and drop something, did I? Oh no. Oh no. It's hammer time. Right. Sorry about that. As you can see, I accidentally moved it. Let's Control Z that and undo. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, FMOD is installed. It's exactly the same like Box2D, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So, right. So one of the first things we have to do, we have to come down to this CMake list here. And we're going to come down to where it says, because we're doing Android. So it says extern. So we're going to go there. Oh, God, that's messing about, isn't it? Okay, tremolo. So we're going to follow the format here. It's a little tricky to figure this out, but I'm giving it to you. So we're going to make it an extern. You see the tab here, it says Android, and we're just going to follow that. And now we're going to add in FMOD. If we don't do that, it isn't going to pick up later on. Now I'm going to sync that. So we can either sync here if it shows up, or I can ignore them changes and sync it with the elephant here. Now, that's the only part you need to do in the CMake list to get it installed into Cocos' external library. The next part that we need to do, because of unfortunately it works a little different, and we need to initialize FMOD. And the way we're going to do that is down here is I have 2 lines of code. Now where that code resides is we're going to jump out of that directory there, and we're going to jump to the, is it the app? Yes. Then we're going to click on the source, and then you can see it says org, and then it says Cocos2dx cpp as a directory, and then the app activity. This is basically the start of Cocos here, all of this stuff here. This is where it starts. Now, you see where it says do other initialization below, which is what we have here. So we're going to say this line here, which is the org. Now I know this because from experience I had to go and research all of this, and now underneath there I'm going to create a static load library there, and that's it. Now fmod is initializing, we're passing it this, so the very beginning of the app, so it's got that, and the system load library, which is fmod. I believe there's an fmod studio, so if you want to use the fmod studio, you just put fmod studio or whatever it is here, or whatever the bits you're using for it and that, but we're making it static. Okay, now that's it. So we should be able to compile now, and it should all upload to the system, but my system's gone to sleep. Let's have a look. And if anything, we should have fmod now running on the system. Now what I'll do is I'll go and grab a bit of code, which is just going to quickly test out that fmod is running on the system. It's got a fair bit to build now, has it? Come on, come on, come on. I'll pause. Oh, maybe I don't need to pause it. Maybe I might do. Come on. All right, I'll pause it and we'll come back when it's finished. Okay, looks like I had a small error here. It's a little bit finicky, this thing, but basically it's the Android. It needs to look exactly like this. We added the extern underscore fmod. What did I put before? Oh, I don't know. But anyway, that's all we need to put there. And then we should have a wonderful build fmod. I shall go and grab a small bit of native code. Did I throw it away? There it is. So that's it up and running now, and now fmod is running, and that's it. Now we can start using fmod in the system. Now again, I don't know if you want to use fmod, but you may have a third-party piece of software that you would like to install, which is a slight bit different, and that's the way that you go about it. So let me grab a small bit of initialization code for fmod to check that it's working. I'll be back in a second. All right, sorry about that. Okay, we're back. So I put this little bit together. So fmod system, after we added our header, it's a little bit long. External fmod include fmod hpp. Yeah, whatever that is for C++ in HPP, but hey, I'm not going to knock fmod. They make money and they've been selling it for years, and it's one of the top audio engines out there for just about every system. So okay, so we're going to include that. Then we're going to come down and run a small bit of code. This is our SQL, and now we're just doing an fmod system. Sound system is null. We're just going to say the result equals create to our sound system here, and then we're just going to check whether it's okay. If it equals okay, then we'll say the system's okay, else the system's not okay. So we're going to run that, and the build is okay. It says it is running. I don't get this bit now with the run. And we're going to look at the logcat, and the logcat comes down to debug. Our database is running, and now we've created our fmod system. Now we're ready to start doing all of the rest of the juicy stuff for creating audio. So right, that's going to be the end of the tutorial here, which is the more advanced parts. This bit was installing it into the Cocos2d library there, or external library rather. And as you can see, there was that little tricky bit there which kind of fouls you up a little, which was down in the build there, sorry, in the Cocos, the external, and then we had to jump into here and add the external for FMOD because we're working with Android. Obviously, you know, with Linux, they've already put it in. Cut, copy and paste that there. That will do the same. You can see with Windows, if you were going to compile it for Windows, it's not there. So do exactly the same. Cut, copy and paste that little bit there. Shove it in there. Whatever you're doing. Right, so that's how to install modules into the external library of Cocos2dx, and obviously just installing a jar file like SQL onto the system. And that's about it. That's where we're going to end the tutorial there, and we're now going to move on to actually programming and the actual start, the very start of Cocos2dx, where we're at. So I will catch you in the next tutorial. Thank you all for listening. I'm sorry if this has gone on a little bit. I should have got a little bit more prepared with code and stuff, but we're getting there. All right, see you in the next one. Thank you very much.